Hi everybody, haven't spoken to you guys in a really long time. Super overcast out here. I left California and came down to Atlanta. I hope you guys can see me okay, that's pretty good. So a few exciting things have happened and I wanted to share the best update in the entire world. One, I cut my hair, so that needed to be done. I had 2 people cut it. One, I had my enemy cut it, and that's why all the edges are kind of messed up. That's when I was in the mental hospital, and that needed to happen because, you know, payback. Learned that from James Brown. And then 2, I went to the love of my life and had him completely chop it off. We did that, and then a few days later Mac Miller passed, and then Mac Miller came back to me and told me that he was also Sandra Bland. And I am to understand that Sandra Bland was a sacrifice for me, for our souls, all of us. We think that God isn't real, we think Jesus isn't real, we think Allah isn't real, whomever you choose to believe in. We think that that energy isn't real and that it doesn't exist, and it absolutely does. It does because, well, I mean, just look at nature. You know, none of us are cool enough to make a tree. There's that. And so at this point, life is all about getting back to everything that is natural, everything that feels good, everything that is pure, getting all these chemicals out the sky so that we can actually see the sun that the planes from Delta like to dump on the city of Atlanta while the governor does nothing about it. Even though my daughter sang at his Christmas party, they know who I am, they know what I like doing, they listen to everything, they watch everything, and it's really just all because of these cell phones. These cell phones are nothing more than an addiction, I think, for all of us. And when you look at who's actually given us the internet, well, that's the military. And so I think that that's what Sandra Bland was trying to articulate, and she was targeted. And so if her soul is a part of my soul, if not practically the exact same soul, then you really have to ask yourself, what is going on in the world? Why the really smart people are being targeted from an evolutionary perspective? And more importantly, if Mac Miller can die and tell me that he was Sandra Bland, then what exactly does that mean from an evolutionary perspective in terms of what white people think black people are and who we really truly are? So the 3-year homeless journey that I endured brought me to this point. It was nothing more than nature realigning me back to my spirituality. I actually wrote the Quran in a past life, which is insane because in this life I don't know anything about the Quran except, you know, what I've learned just in passing, which really, to be very fair, isn't much. So it's special how they say, like, Jesus wants followers, and in real life Jesus wouldn't want any followers. Jesus would know that the people following him could be so much better than who they actually are, who they choose to be, who they choose to be paid to be. And I think that that's what the whole goal of this awakening is, right? We've proven on the page who Obama is. We've proven on the page who Trump is. We've proven on the page who Emmett Till is, and you know, so many others. I mean, Carnell, DeMario, go on the page, you'll see everything. We are not interested in being abused. We are not interested in having our art stolen. We're not interested in having our publishing rights taken away from us. And this is the moment in time where we're fighting back. Period. We don't give a fucking shit about the government. Yes, I listened to my father, General Patton, who was one of the strongest leaders that our American government has ever had, and I don't feel his energy anywhere in the leadership that you guys currently have. So, I mean, again, good luck with that. Today he reached out and said, make sure that you always have respect for your enemies. And it was a message not only from him, but also from our ancestors and our ancestry. Our time is now. We see it, we feel it, we hear it. It is crackling in the electricity in the air, and that is the reason why Delta likes to put all this shit in the air. They just want to control everything. And the bottom line is, until your ass is able to make a motherfucking tree, you don't control shit, bitch. So that's about as respectful as it's going to be, dear father. We don't really know much about who we are and what we're capable of and what we possess. And the mission on our page is to unite not only black people, but also to make people know that, let people know that the astrophysicist, I forget his name, Stephen Hawking, he didn't make it into heaven. And Darwin has very specifically said that unless a white person is gifted into the afterlife by a black person, based on the treatment that we receive in this world, they don't make it into heaven. And that's just the bottom fucking line. I'm really sorry to tell that to you guys, white people, but all I can tell you is that you better start being a lot fucking nicer to everybody that's about the shade of a brown paper bag and over. Period. If you want to make it. Again, I hate to be the one to kind of break it to you. You know, they say, you know, don't shoot the messenger. Bob Marley said, I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy. And he speaks through me, right? His granddaughter is a very powerful soul. His son is a very powerful soul. We speak to a lot of different people, and we've connected a lot of different relatives on our site. Thing about physics is you can't really see it as it's happening. It won't really take effect until, you know, a little bit later. But the point being, we have put the stake in the ground, and we took it out and then stabbed it in the hearts of every single vampire that has ever stolen from us. We are getting our land back. We are reuniting our families. The blood of this earth has already been spilled, and God feels that. So if God feels that, then essentially what it means is that every single little signal that the police like to have, like keeping these little trunks open and, you know, pretending that they're not following me and they're not listening to me and they're not stalking me, essentially, good luck with that. You know, I don't control what happens. I'm simply the person that is smart and wise and respectful enough to relay the message. I don't think that it's fair that Trump and Mike Tyson get to do undercover deals, you know, with Don King and whatever the fuck that Muslim guy's name is who was involved with Malcolm X. And they do, you know, these deals that hurt the people who are trying to help the world, protect the world, progress the world. And so that's just where we're at. Sandra Bland was a beautiful spirit, and a lot of people really didn't understand why everything happened. I don't really think even I understood it at the time. I just said, damn, I just remember crying about it. I was just like, this is wrong. You shouldn't have spoken back to the police officer. And, you know, when I was out there in Monterey talking to horses, literally talking to horses, the horses taught me 3 things. One, they said, you are African, you are black, but you are also Filipino. And to never forget that. The horses also taught me that not all officers are created equal. Meaning, if there's a war that breaks down, let's say a civil war, the horses don't get to choose which side they get to be on. They don't get to choose the side of the North or the South. They're just in a position where they have to fight. So they need me to understand that similarly, did I say that right? When we are in times of war, like now, and it's a spiritual war, which is why Drake couldn't make that concert the other day, because he had actually stolen Aaliyah's soul, and we had to get that back, which we did, and he felt something, is all I'll say. And he wrote about it. He said, I never felt so sick in my life. Well, that's from Aaliyah. You can't steal people's soul to try to progress your career and try to elevate it and not think that the sun's not going to come out despite all this shit and show you the truth, right? That is the sun right there. That's a natural entity that Delta can't control, shining through, saying, this is the Lion King's land, and it was never Mufasa's. It was always Scar's. The only reason Scar was so pissed is because it was stolen from him. Disney knew that. Disney speaks through me as well, because I was Walt Disney. And as Walt Disney, aka number one Nazi, aka number one Hitler, I think I know a little bit about death and what that means to people and how it affects people. And the bottom fucking line is the Holocaust was a movie studio joke. It was a motherfucking joke. It never happened. I met the guy who was the actor for Hitler, and the shit never happened. You gotta look at the facts. And the facts are, every single race has had retribution, financial retribution, for the wrongdoings that have happened to their race, except for Africans, except for black people. So if you're the bully, let's say Jewish people, let's go with Shirley MacLaine's theory. Shirley MacLaine had a theory where she said that the reason for the Holocaust is that Jewish people put that on themselves. It was their karma, they deserved it. So okay, let's go with this theory. Shirley MacLaine's a very enlightened woman. I watched Out on a Limb. I know what she's talking about and what she's seeing and what she feels. Okay, so if you're the bully and you make a movie, Steven Spielberg, about pretending that, you know, there's Anne Frank's diary. This is fucking Anne Frank's diary. I'm Anne Frank. I'm the one saying this is what happened when the soldiers came and they tried to take away my lineage. They took away my family. They fucked us up. They separated us for generations. Okay? It's not right. And all we're waiting for is a motherfucking apology from the American government for all the shit that they've done in cahoots with the Asian governments, in cahoots with the Indian governments, in cahoots with the French and the German and the Russian and every other fucking government, the ones that I forgot, to annihilate our lineage and our ancestry. Shit's not right. I don't think it's right. I just don't think it's right. So, an apology would help. Retribution would help. Acknowledgement for something that's greater than you guys would fucking help. You know, Trump, when he was inaugurated, he had all those different preachers and pastors and Buddhist people, and he had the whole fucking rainbow coalition of religion and spirituality, but I don't see that shit reflected in his day-to-day life and day-to-day actions. So for now, you know, he is the American president, but he really doesn't control shit. I definitely would like an apology from the Queen of England for starting all this shit. She owns half the fucking world. Everybody can Google that and see that. And so until she acknowledges that Meghan Markle is my fucking cloned twin, then Princess Diana is just not gonna rest. And as of now, Princess Diana is motherfucking me. So we'll see.